Hey everyone, this is Pete, and welcome back to Short Play, a series of quick tours of games I like on a variety of platforms, new and old. Today's game is Burnout 2 Point of Impact, which was a 2002 release by Acclaim, developed by Criterion Games. While the first Burnout game was primarily developed as a showcase for Criterion's renderware engine, which was very new at the time, Burnout 2 refined and expanded on the gameplay of the original, with better game balance, more varied races, and the introduction of the now obligatory crash mode, which turned out to be a big favourite with everyone who played it. For many people, including myself, it's probably the pinnacle of the series, and it's also the last Burnout before EA got hold of it, so you can make of that information what you will. But in the meantime, let's go play Burnout 2 Point of Impact.
Okay, here we are with Burnout Impact. Burnout 2 Point of Impact. Burnout Impact's quite a catchy name though. Surprised they haven't used that yet, but you know, well, we haven't really seen much from the Burnout series aside from the Paradise remaster that we had recently. Anyway, so yeah, this is one of my favourite arcade races of all time. And I've been sort of rediscovering it a bit recently, so I'm just going to show you a few bits and pieces from the game today. If you are one of the unfortunate people who's never come across this game before, this is a game that would be prime for some sort of re-release or remaster or something like that, but sadly I doubt it's going to happen now, with this being an Acclaim release and the rights for Burnout now being in the hands of EA, and well, I'm not sure I would trust EA to re-release this without making it jammed full of DLC and stuff like that. Anyway, my progress through the single player championship, I'm up to this point here where I've got a couple of races to do. I've got a face-off, got a face-off race to unlock a secret car, and then a point-to-point race to unlock the next Grand Prix. So let's have a go at both of those. I'm going to stick with my favourite car for the minute, which is the Roadster. You can see we've got a few other secret ones unlocked here already via various means, but the Roadster is my old reliable. Welcome to Crystal Summit Lake. Okay, so face-off races are exactly what they sound like. They're just a one-on-one race against another car, and all you have to do is beat the other car to the finish line. Which is usually easier said than done, to be perfectly honest. What with the cars in question usually being pretty high performance in one way or another. Now, if you've not come across Burnout before, its big thing is earning boost by driving dangerously. But unlike the later installments in the Burnout series, driving dangerously does not mean causing crashes and things. It just means taking big risks. So doing huge drifts, driving on the wrong side of the road, having near misses with cars but not actually hitting them, all that sort of thing. And doing those things will earn you boost, which is the bar down in the bottom left corner. When you've earned a full boost bar, I was lucky. When you've earned a full boost bar, you can unleash that. Whoops! And normally plow into something. Yeah, when you've earned a full boost bar, you can unleash your boost, and that will give you a huge boost of both acceleration and speed. And if you can keep boosting for the full boost bar without crashing or letting go of the boost button, that is a burnout, which will score you lots of points, and also a half refill on the boost bar. So if you can combine scoring a burnout with all the other things you do to earn boost, you can actually repeatedly chain burnouts together, and that scores you lots of points and also allows you to just keep boosting indefinitely. So that is sort of the core thing you want to try and get good at in this race, but in this game. But as I say, easier said than done on certain tracks. This track here is a particularly twisty-turny one, that there aren't many super optimal places to boost on. Oh god. The other thing Burnout is known for is its overly elaborate crash sequences. Now, in the original Burnout, they didn't quite get the balance right with that, in that the crash sequences were really enjoyable to watch, but if you saw more than one or two in a race, you weren't going to see the end of the race, let alone win it. Because the time limits in that game were so tight. It was like proper old school Japanese arcade racer time limits. And so, like, if you've ever played the original Pole Position by Namco, and you consider how unlikely it is that you're going to finish a race in that if you crash even once. Yeah, the penalties for crashing in the original Burnout were much like that. And for Burnout 2, what they did, among other things, is they really refined the difficulty curve so that the time limits are rarely much of an issue, but they are still there to keep you on your toes. Most of the challenge comes from navigating the tracks and negotiating the traffic, and in races like this, beating a very strong opponent. So I somehow suspect I'm not going to beat, although he's still in sight. He is still in sight. I'll give him that. I am doubtful of my ability to crush him at this point. But we'll see. The nice thing about the computer opponents, as you see, is that they will also crash as well, and they are subject to the same sort of penalties for crashing as you are. So if they make a hash of a particular sequence of the race, they can lose a lot of time on it as well and give you the opportunity to catch up. So now, because of his crash, this race has become a whole lot closer. So I now just need to try and take advantage of that as much as possible. Staying ahead of him is the problem, though, because I think his car is just faster than mine. So ideally I need to get out in front with some boost ready to go. We'll sort of pip him to the post at the very end of the race, which I think is probably going to be how it's going to have to go. But that does rely on me getting a little bit closer to him first. So, time to boost. Oh god, that's not going to help, is it? Yeah, this game has sort of really prime arcade racer handling, so it's got a really nice sort of drift model. But the other cool thing is that all the cars handle very differently from one another. So if you're not a big fan of Ridge Racer style heavy drift racing, then there are sort of more grippy cars. Oh! Smashed into him again. There are more grippy cars you can use that you have to handle very differently. And some of the secret cars are just outright silly as well. So you might have seen when I initially showed you the car selection screen, we've got things like the driver's ed car, which you earn by completing... Oh, he crashed as well, that's okay. Which you earn by completing all of the training races in this. And that car is actually quite good, because it's got very good handling. It's not that fast, as you might expect, but it does have good handling. So on twisty-turny, weavy courses, that can be quite a good choice. Like I say, I like the Roadster because it handles like a Ridge Racer car in that you can sort of just tap the brakes and slide around corners to your heart's content. Oh, he's right behind me. I can hear him. I just like everything about this game, like literally everything about this game. It reminds me of playing racing games in the arcades, and that even goes for the music. Like, taken by itself, the music doesn't sound terribly remarkable, but what it does do is it evokes the feeling of being in an arcade, because when I think of playing racing games in an arcade, I tend not to think... I tend not to think of sort of listening to the music, because arcades are so noisy that it's quite difficult to pick out individual sound effects or tunes or that sort of thing. And so what you tend to have in arcades is when you're playing a racing game, you can sort of hear high frequency sounds like drum beats and stuff like that, but very little else. And so for them to place a strong emphasis on the rhythm section of the music in this is very reminiscent of the experience of playing a racing game in the arcades. And then you might be able to notice whenever I hit the... Ooh, God, that was scary. Whenever I hit the boost, it plays a slightly thicker mix of the music. It adds some like electric guitars and a more prominent bass line and that sort of thing. And so that gives you a feeling of boosting actually having an impact on the game besides just the visual effects that apply. It's just everything about this game is designed to be satisfying and enjoyable and invoke the good feelings of playing classic racing games in the arcade. And I'm not exaggerating when I say there really has been nothing quite like this game ever since, even in the Burnout series itself. We've won! Okay, so we should have got a new car from that. We can watch a replay if we want, but I'm not going to bother with that. Now, this is a nice thing. This gives the game a lot of replay value, actually, because besides your total times, it also records a whole bunch of other things as well. So it records your high scores, for one thing. You would have noticed in the top right of the screen, we're earning points as we're playing races in this. And that means that you can come back and you can replay races, not necessarily to get the best times, but to get the best scores as well. Or to cause the biggest crashes, or to have the biggest total number of crashes in the race and still win, or big air, or drifts, or oncoming traffic, and so on. So it's really nice that it records all those different records besides just your times, because it means that the game then has a whole ton of replay value beyond just playing the campaign. Alright, so that's given me the Japanese muscle car. Right, on to the point-to-point race. Freeway dash. Race down the mountain, go flat out on the freeway. This is one thing I really like about the structure of this game, in that it presents you with a Grand Prix, and all the tracks for that Grand Prix are in a similar area of the sort of overall game world, if you like. And then you have a point-to-point race, so it's like you're driving to the next competition. It's a really kind of subtle thing. It doesn't make a big deal of it, but I really like what it's doing. I'm going to give the Japanese muscle a go, because I can't remember how this handles. If we compare its stats to the Roadster, it obviously seems to be quote-unquote better than the Roadster. But those stats being maxed out doesn't necessarily mean that it's easier to handle or anything like that. But let's give it a go, since we've just unlocked it. And if any kind of car is going to be drifty, surely it's a Japanese muscle car. We'll see, I guess. It's heating up on the Crystal Freeway. Alright, so your standard races in Burnout have just 4 participants in them. And the reason for that is that besides your other races, you are also dealing with traffic on the roads, as we've already seen. And so whether that full racer limit was down to technological limitations or simply sort of stylistic reasons, it doesn't really matter. It gives races in Burnout quite a distinctive feel, though, because you're a small pack of cars battling your way through a whole host of other traffic that is just there to get in your way. Now, if you've read or heard me talk about this game previously, you might have seen me bring up a game called Thrill Drive by Konami, which is an arcade game that predates the original Burnout by a little bit. And while it's never acknowledged as the inspiration for Burnout, it's very obviously the inspiration for Burnout. Because there's so much in common. Like even stuff like these sort of flashing green arrows to mark corners that you go round, and the hovering arrows over your opponents, and the fact you have a very small field of racers, of just 4 racers. All of those things were present in Thrill Drive, right down to the overdramatic crash sequences. And while it's a bit of a shame Thrill Drive doesn't get more love these days, it did have quite a limited run in the arcades. Oh dear, that was a good one. Yeah, it did have a pretty limited run in the arcades, which meant that not that many people played it. And in fact, I was quite lucky to have played it, I discovered, because we just happened to have a machine for it in our university union bar. But having looked into it a little bit more recently, it seems that there weren't many of those arcade machines exported outside Japan. So we were very lucky to have one of those at university. And I remember many a drunken evening in the bar, people queuing up for a go on Thrill Drive. Oh, there's the finish. That was quite short. First place. Nice. Okay, so that will have unlocked a new Grand Prix for us there. I don't want to spend too long going through stuff in here. While it is tempting to play through the entire Grand Prix, they tend to take quite a while, so I won't subject you to that now, especially because it's 6 tracks. But hopefully that's given you an idea of how the racing works in Burnout. Now, the other significant component of Burnout 2 is the crash mode, which was introduced in this game. So, I'm going to pick a car. Let's take the Japanese muscle, actually. Now, what you do in crash mode is you have to cause as much damage as possible. And you see over on the right-hand side, we've got 3 medals relating to various amounts of damage that you cause. So what this does, basically, is it presents you with a junction where there is traffic incoming from various directions, and you have to figure out the best place to fling your car in order to make as much of a mess as possible. So if we just smash into that car, for example, and see what happens. You'll see that it doesn't have a huge impact, because what we probably want to try and do is smack into that jam of cars down there. So 46,646, that's not a good score for this round. If you remember, it wanted us to score somewhere in the region of 35 million to get a gold medal. So let's try that again. So you do get a multiplier at the end of it all as well. So that initial damage figure might not be quite as pathetic as it looked, but yeah, you still need to hit more things than I did there in order to get a decent score. Alright, retry. Alright, so let's sneak past those first cars and then plough into the middle of this. We might have left that a little bit late, but we'll see. Yeah, not quite enough. We left the back end of that traffic jam a little bit loose. So our final score there was 13.6 million. That was only enough for a bronze medal, which is not bad, but we can do better. So let's go again. Your multiplier, I think, is how many cars crashed. So basically, it's the amount of damage you caused multiplied by the number of cars that were involved in the crash. So you want to sort of try and find a balance between high value targets and hitting as many of them as possible. Not sure that's going to work. Disappointing, I won't lie. Let's try that again. It's tricky. It's tricky. I like this mode because each one is like a little puzzle. All about figuring out where the optimal place to smash your car into is and when to use your boost and what's going to be the most inconvenient and how that's going to bring more people in. Yes. Oh, more coming in. Still not enough, though. Yeah. 15 million. Not good enough. You can play this mode multiplayer as well. And as you might expect, that is a lot of fun. So you each get, I think, 3 attempts in that to make the biggest crash possible. And then whoever makes the biggest crash possible wins that round. Oh, getting airborne's good. Because that sort of allows us to hit targets from several areas. It's still not enough though. Got a few more inbound, but 17 million. Not bad, but still not great. Let's have one more go. And then we'll try another junction. Alright, let's boost down the side here and let's just crash here and see what happens. Not much, I don't think. That will get the bus into us, but that's about it. There's a bunch of traffic up the front it would be good to get involved with somehow, but... yeah, that's definitely not good enough. No medal! Alright, well let's try another area just for comparison's sake. So let's go main menu. And any like bigger, heavier cars we can use. Maybe this one. So one I haven't got gold on yet. Hit the cross traffic for desert demolition. Let's try this one. This car's much slower to accelerate. Alright, smash right into the traffic going across the middle, and that should hopefully optimize the carnage. There we are. Once you start getting some trucks and buses involved, that's where the big points come in. Still not sure it's enough, though. No, only a bronze medal. Alright, let's try again. Alright, we need 30 million. Alright, let's get boosting right from the get-go. Get some speed behind us. And that was not supposed to happen. All right, try again. Physics. What are they? All right, boost, smash, slam one of those buses into the middle. Go on, get it in there, or just hurl my car into the middle. That's good too. It's not bad, but it's not enough. Hmm, 15 million. I've lost my touch. I really have lost my touch. Alright, one more go. What if we do this? Now, the later Burnout games added a mechanic called aftertouch to any crashes, meaning that you could actually sort of continue to control your car in the air while it was crashing, and then you could use that to cause further carnage. While that was fun, I feel it sort of almost missed the point a bit, because part of the point of this is just sort of finding the optimal place to position yourself in order to cause some mayhem. Right, well, what we're doing there obviously isn't working out, so let's try something different.
3, 2, 1, go!
Let's go this way. And let's get involved with the traffic. He says, missing all of the traffic completely. Right, well... The issue we're having is if you sort of strike a glancing blow on a bit of traffic, then it doesn't sort of trigger a full crash sequence, which is the problem we're encountering there. Whereas we need to sort of T-bone something like that, really. Except I don't think that's going to achieve all that much. We've got a couple of buses. I want some cars. It's building up. Sometimes crashes like that can surprise you, but not this time. Pathetic. Pathetic. Once more. Alright, we'll call this the last go on this junction. Right, ready, aim, fire! That's more like it. Getting some buses involved, getting some trucks involved. 10 times multiplier. No. No, still no good. Still no good. Anyway, you get the idea. So yeah, that is Burnout 2. So you've seen a couple of styles of race there. We've talked a bit about the championship, and we've seen the crash mode, which for many people is the main attraction of this game. But yeah, don't sleep on the actual racing side of things as well, because this is an incredibly satisfying arcade racer with some great handling, some really cool tracks, a really interesting game structure as well. And then you got the multiplayer side of things as well. So single race is split screen, so you need 2 controllers for that. That's why that's great out there. I've only got 1 connected right now. And crash mode, you can play with a single controller because it's turn-based. You just sort of pass it around from player to player. And that allows you to have a bit of fun with your friends. But yeah, this is a fantastic game that I'm so glad that I have in my collection, because it's a game that I've loved ever since it came out. And it's nearly 20 bloody years old now. Oh, God. Oh, God. But like I say, good games are absolutely timeless, and this is definitely one of those timeless ones. This game plays just as well today as it did back when it was first released. So yes, this is going to remain in my collection for a very long time. And if you happen to have a means of playing PS2 games, I strongly recommend you add it to your collection as well. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.